Looks like you had a great time in Arizona.
I did. The trails are great, and I got to meet a lot of the people that help keep them open.
Well, how does that relate to the first letter of the Latin alphabet?
Trails Advocacy. From January through July, I've got the unique privilege of speaking at horse expos across the nation where I talked about trail riding and camping with livestock. One of my most popular talks is called the ABCs of trail riding, where I use the alphabet as the vehicle, and each letter is a different topic of things that we need to consider on our ride. My letter A stands for advocacy, and as our good friend Miriam says, advocacy is the act or process of working for a cause.
Of course, the cause is keeping horse trails open. Robert, I know at your clinics, you ask the audience what members belong to organizations, groups. How does that go?
Crickets. Far too often, the sound of silence is deafening, and it's crickets in the audience. I don't know if that's a reflection of our American educational system or that people just don't belong to trail advocacy groups. Sometimes I think it's people just don't know that the groups exist. Maybe they think it's forest gnomes clearing trails and lobbying land managers to keep the trails open. I don't know. Here's a few hard truths for you. Every day, another bit of paradise is paved over for a subdivision or a parking lot or a strip mall. Here's another truth for you. Land managers have tiny, tiny operating budgets. They can barely keep our trails maintained, let alone build new trails. And here's a big truth for you. Equine users are a tiny, tiny percentage of the trail-using population.
What can we do to keep trails open?
Or keep paradise possible?
That's quite the alliteration, Robert.
For some people, paradise is a margarita on a warm beach. For me, it's a dirt trail going into the wilderness on a hot summer's day where you can hear eagles screaming high above and smell pine on a hot summer breeze. It's the companionship of a trusted horse or mule that will faithfully get you home. Here's a few things that each of us can do. We can volunteer and we can organize. Volunteer organizations are a loud voice for horse riders across the nation. They do trail maintenance, they lobby land managers for equestrian use, they take volunteers out, and they promote horse riding as an enjoyable way to enjoy the outdoors. An enjoyable way to enjoy the outdoors?
Yes.
My first volunteer trail project was with the Tahoma chapter of the Backcountry Horsemen of Washington back in 2009. Over 24 really hard-working and committed volunteers rerouted part of the Pacific Crest Trail that was running along a road. My experience was fabulous, and your trail maintenance experiences will be fabulous too. You just got to find a group to join and have fun with. If you don't belong to a group, club, organization that will represent your interest as an equestrian, you should. I belong to the Backcountry Horsemen of Washington, but they're far from the only group working to preserve your right to ride trails. Celeste, what are some other groups that can help with equine access to trails?
Most states have horse councils, like Wisconsin or Arizona or Ohio Horsemen's Council, and they provide the mouthpiece to organize members for work parties, such as trail maintenance, and working with the land managers to keep those trails open within the state for equestrian use.
Like to ride fast and far? The American Endurance Ride Conference has a special trails committee that makes grants for trail maintenance.
Are you worried about zoning issues restricting horse access? Well, the Equine Land Conservation Resource, ELCR, works with its members to raise awareness and help keep land open to horse use.
These are just a few of the groups that can help make your voice heard. Horse clubs and groups are not just trail maintenance and it's not all work. They're also great social clubs. It's wonderful to belong to a club where you can talk about trail conditions, training, feeding, any number of things equine with like-minded folks. The food is usually pretty good too. They agree.
But please, don't wait until there's a crisis and your trail is closed. Join a group, a club, an organization that does trail maintenance. Volunteer. You don't have to lift a shovel for all volunteer work, you know. Plus, Educate yourself and others around you about good trail use and best practices, like leave no trace.
To find an equine group near you, go to the front page of trailmeister.com, where I've got a big list of horse clubs and groups around the nation. You'll find it helpful.